Right, so when we first look at this question, I must admit it looks a bit horrendous. For 3 marks, all lots of information and a picture of a cylinder. But basically it's asking that this is an existing tin of pet food, and the company wants to make a new one with a slightly smaller radius. And they want the volume to be the same. So the radius is going to be getting smaller and the height's going to increase, and they want us to work out the height of the new tin. So what we need to do first of all is to work out the volume of the existing cylinder. You do have a bit of guide, not really much help, but in your formula sheet you've got the volume of a prism. It's the area of the cross section times the length, alright, which is kind of on its side, and we're going to consider this cylinder the other way around. So we need to work out the area of the top face, which is a circle, and then times it by how tall the shape is. For the area of a circle, hopefully we can remember that wonderful circle song, that the pi r squared sounds like area to me. Alright, so pi r squared gives me the area of that top face, and I'm going to then times it by the height. Right, pi times radius squared. The radius is 6.5, so pi times 6.5 squared times the height, which is 11.5. And I can put that into my calculator to get me a volume for the cylinder as it exists at the moment. So to get to pi, you press on many calculators a shift key, and then the middle key at the bottom brings us up the pi symbol. I'm going to times it by 6.5 and square it and times it by 11.5, and that gives me 485 and 7/8 pi. If I press my S to D button, I turn it into a decimal, which many of you might be happier with, which is 1526.421331, and that's centimetre cubed, because that's our volume so far. Alright, so they have a new tin. The new tin has a radius, that's a wonderful circle, of 5.8, and they want us to work out the height. Okay, so following the same procedure really, I can pi r squared to work out the area of my top face, and then I just need to work out the value I need to multiply it by to get me that same volume answer. So I'm going to set up the same equation, pi r squared times h, except this time I know it needs to equal my 1526 figure. Okay, so substituting in my squared values, I've got pi times 5.8 squared times the height, which I'm trying to find out, is 1526. H has been times by this pi and 5.8 squared. So like on other equations, to get rid of that, the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So to get rid of those from that side, and you could turn it into a number if you're not comfortable doing this stage, you could just put pi times 5.8 squared into your calculator. But if you are comfortable with it, to get rid of these we need to do the inverse operation, which is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by pi and 5.8 squared. So h, they move from one side and they go to the denominator on the other side. So pi times 5.8 squared. This will now need to be typed into my calculator. I've already got my 1526. If you did do another calculation, we've got the full value figure up there, so you're able to type it back in. But I can just bring through my previous answer and divide it by, either pressing divide, which is what this line means, or indeed you could write it as a fraction form if you wish to. We need to do pi and times it by 5.8 squared, like that, and come up with a height of 14.44337099 centimetres. Just as a quick check to see whether we're right or wrong, the height of the previous one was 11.5, this is 14. I would expect it to be taller because the radius is smaller, so it's a narrower tin, so it needs to be higher. And the accuracy of my answer that they would like is to give it correct to one decimal place. One decimal place is that first 4. If I draw my line there, the next digit is a 4, which means I'm not going to be rounding it up, it's going to stay as the same. So the answer would be 14.4 centimetres.